This is Short Hammer. It is the 6th of February 2020. And this is Trading Zones, taking a peek at CMG that missed on their earnings. And we pull back to the 856 area. Now, what are we watching for moving forward? The next level that we have, if we continue to sell, is the 823. And the level below that is the 781. Now, there are a few speed bumps in between that. But if the sellers do take the wheel, I do believe that we will hit at least the 823 area, and that the 781 is a possibility, strong possibility, I'd say. Let's look at the lower time frame. On the 4-hour, we see that around this 856, we're seeing a little bit of buying, and we need to really have a clear break, a back that's in a failure of this area to get to the next level. We'll see how that shakes out, but so far, it hasn't given me a signal here to get short. Now, if you were watching this early in the day, go to the 1-hour, you could have decided to get short when it was up here, because we opened, we were still in this area. And then we just started to fade a little bit. Drop this to the 30-minute. Probably even lower than that if you watch it on if the 10 will show it. The 10 won't even show it. I have to go lower. This is pretty fast. So I had an opportunity to fade this area here, this 888. So just want to watch and see what we get as we're hovering around this 856. For me, I need a separation below the 850s to look for potential selling action down to the 823s. With CMG, it doesn't always happen immediately. So just keep an eye on CMG to see if we continue to sell, or if the buyers step in and we get to squeeze back up on this. Above this 856, I have no interest in getting short unless we are pushing into those 865, 67s. But even there, I'm going to be careful. I'm probably going to be watching for the next level. Just the way this market's moving currently, I prefer to sort of play my zones. And if I'm not playing my zones, I am, utilizing the power of pivots to get intraday entries and exits. So that's what I'm looking at on CMG. Let's go back to the daily chart. Jump to Google real quick. So Google's interesting. We had a bounce around the 1432s. I'm not playing this. I'm waiting for us to either get to the 1481s. And from there, I may either get long or get short based on candle formations. If we reject here, we see bearish candle formations, I'm going to fade this. If we break above and hold, I'll be long. Now, if I fade this, once we start to get into this structure here, I'm going to be scaling out a few contracts, to be honest. And if I'm long this, once we get into these little tops here, I'll be scaling out a few contracts. So any signs of turbulence, once I'm in and it's moving in my direction, I'm definitely exiting a few contracts. And it could be 40%, 50%. And then the rest I'll hold for our break even or see if we go higher. If we go a little bit higher at the next area of turbulence, I'll scale out a few more contracts. And you can do the same thing with shares. You could have if it hits this point, I'll take 25%, 30%, or 50% off. And then after that, take off 20%, 25%, and then leave the rest to either break even or to ride it to the next level. It depends. Do your math and practice that to see what fits your style. And also with different tickers, depending upon the volatility of that ticker, you can choose to manage the different trades in a different manner based on the movement of the ticker. If you're in Roku and you're trying to scale out a few shares and you don't have, your stops in, even if you do have your stops, and that thing could drop on you 5 points, like Roku, Shop, some of these tickers that move big really quickly, you may blink and your green trade turn red. So you just have to be really careful because those fills can be terrible. Okay, so that's what I'm watching here on Google, watching these levels and seeing if we see failure below to fade to the next, or if we get buying above to long to the next. So I'll be playing off of these levels. And if we get back down here again, and I see buyers step in, then I'll probably be longing it back into this 1446s, since it was the close of yesterday, roughly. And if you want to see this on the lower time frame, on the 4-hour, we can definitely do that. But all I see is buyers stepping in around this 1432-ish area. So we'll see what happens today, and we'll play off of that. Move over to Amazon, my favorite ticker. Amazon on the daily. We mentioned in our last video, if it holds the 2000 area, look for the 2030. That happened. It actually pushed above the 2052, and above that, we'd watch for the 2075. So now what we want to keep our eye on, since we're back down here below the 2050s, is, are we going to sell through the 2031s? And if so, I'll be fading this. Are we going to buy through the 2050s? We'll see how this shakes out. And also, is the market going to be bullish, or is the market going to be bearish? So you have to see what the trend of the market is. If we look at the lower time frame, see the 4-hour, we're pushing back up against the 2052 here. So above this, we do have room to run into the 2075. So if the market's going to run today, Amazon's probably going to hit this 2075 and probably pull back and then push through and puncture this. So we'll see how this shakes out, but I'll be watching Amazon closely today for an entry once I determine the trend. The first 15, 30 minutes, I usually take my time to look at the advancers, decliners, and sort of see the trend of the market. And then I look to try to take a position based on either pullbacks or setups that I see and the overall market trend. Keep an eye on the markets today, because you do have the president speaking at some point. I'm not sure what time that is. And this entire week, we've been having economic data coming out. So just be careful on all your positions. And signs of turbulence, don't hesitate to scale out. Secure some of those profits, secure the bag. Let's take a peek at Netflix. Netflix is interesting. If we look at the daily chart here on Netflix, I want to show you something. So Netflix, these 384s have been just like, if you've ever watched Game of Thrones, this is the wall. And has it been through it before? Yep. But since it's pulled back through, every attempt to get through has been rejected. And if you want to take this back, the last time we were above the 384 level was back in 2018. So we're back up here again. And so what's possible? Let's take a peek at Tesla. I want to show you something. Let's pull up the weekly. And I'll draw these Tesla lines probably on the weekend when I get a chance. Until then, I don't have the time. But look at this, these 380s on Tesla. How long was this? The Great Wall. Couldn't get through. Then here we go. Boom. And we're gone. So what I'll watch for on Netflix is, if we remain bullish, let's see if we squeeze into these 384s. And if I see bearish candle formations, I'll probably fade this. But a break and hold above, I'm out. And I'm going to be long on the other side if we hold this 384 long against that position. So I'll be watching this level. Let me zoom in so this is crystal clear what I'm looking at. I'll be watching this level to see if we break above. But there's no reason for me to get short until we get there. If we look at the 4-hour, see where we are right now. We are right below, it looks like right below this 370 area. So break above and hold, I'll be long, and I'll be using the pivots intraday to look for these entries. But I like this level here to give me either a market trending up, and there's no bad news on Netflix, I'm long. Market trending down, there's bad news on Netflix, or either or, right? I'm short. And the next level is right here at 361. Above the 370s, I should be long, potentially into the 384s, but also taking scaling out and taking profits on any signs of turbulence. So that's my plan on Netflix. Let's take a peek at NVIDIA. It is above our 252. So above 247, take it to the next level. These levels are kind of wide on NVIDIA. My next level is up here at 260. We'll see how this shakes out. But I like this little top here. Look at that previous area. Sold back down. Look at these little tops. 253. So I'll keep an eye on this. But for me, bullish candle formations above a level give me a sign to get long. Above 253-ish, looks like it'll be a good squeeze to push up into the 260s, 258s, 257s. We'll see how that shakes out. I'll keep an eye on NVIDIA. I'll set some alerts on this. And REGN. They have earnings, I believe, this morning. Look at the daily chart. REGN is interesting. It does usually have continuation. If the earnings are good, it should run. So we have our levels here. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see this clearly. Widen this out. Did bounce here at 328. So what I'm going to do on this is I'm not going to take an initial position. I'm going to let this move. And whichever direction that it goes, I will play in that direction on the pullbacks into any of my support lines, where I then see bullish candlestick formations if it beats. If it misses and it heads down, I'll wait for pullbacks into any of my lines for bearish candlestick formations to fade to the next level and potentially scale out and then ride to the next level. That's my plan on REGN earnings. I have a similar plan on CI for their earnings. On CI earnings, going to be the same thing. It's been moving up a bit, and so I will be looking for entries based off of my lines that I have here. If we're going down, once we break below on back test and fade to the next level. If we're breaking up, back test, long to the next level. If it gaps to all-time highs, I'll just wait for a pullback, and I'll probably, usually when I play something that hasn't been somewhere before, I'm using the power of pivot script 100% to give me those levels, because the way that I do my zones is primarily based on retracements. So if it's never been there before, my zones don't really work because I have no candle structure to draw anything from. But power of pivots, it gives you those levels. So I could get those levels from the pivots, even if it's never been there before. And that's how, if I'm trading something that's, all-time highs or all-time lows, depending, then that's how I find my levels. And take a peek at Intel. This did beat earnings. Nice little pullback here, running back up. So for me, I'm going to watch this and watch for sweeps on BlackBox and see if we get above this and we have bullish candlestick formations. I'm long into the next level. If we're below this, I'm going to be short to the next level, and I'll just keep this tight and exit. That's enough for me. Get a couple contracts, ride this either direction, make a few hundred. Life is good. So we'll see how this moves today. I am not in a rush to get into or out of Intel. If it holds levels and it's moving up, if I enter this long, I'll scale out contracts and ride a few, but I'm going to secure my profits to make sure that even if the other contracts go south, I can't lose. It's only going to be a ding to the profit I already made, maybe 10 or 15% of the profit. Whenever I'm in something that I'm swinging, I love to lock in like 85%, 80%, and leave 20% for the run. But lock in the majority of it so that if something happens overnight or something happens with the ticker, the drawdown doesn't affect that the trade was a profitable trade. So I'll be watching this for a good entry, short or long. Right now, preferably long. And if it pulls back to levels, I'll look for bullish candlestick formations on the intraday to get in and ride it up off those levels. if you like this video, don't hesitate to tap that like button. And if you'd like to receive not just content like this, but more content from Elisa as she shows you how she utilizes her power of pivot scripts to find great intraday entries and swing plays, and also she plays the futures, don't hesitate to sign up for our YouTube channel, The Power of Pivots. Thank you for your time.